Hey world, what up? Hey, I've been telling you guys for the past I don't know how long, but I've had expectations of pretty much the NBA working things in the background, the Los Angeles Lakers winning the 2020 championship, and further off in the future. I've expected and I've stated this that I expect the LA Lakers to pull off a three-peat and the Lakers will win 2020, 2021, and 2022. Now we saw step one of that to actually happen. The Lakers won 2020. Everyone was expecting either the Bucks or Clippers. No one in their right mind could have fathomed LeBron James and Anthony Davis winning that championship when you had Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and that whole team and quote unquote dogs with the Clippers. Let alone you did have Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Well, everyone was pretty much proved wrong. The Lakers won the championship, even when that they had the bubble situation. They lost Avery Bradley. Um, just a couple other things that kind of went on, such forth. But the LA Lakers right now, they are favorites to come out of the Western Conference and let alone win the championship for 2021 by a long shot. I mean, the moves they made by Rob Pelinka free agency and offseason was tremendous. It was crazy. I didn't even expect it. He'll go that direction. You picked up the sixth and seventh man of the year of Dennis Schroeder, let alone you were able to pick up Montrezl Harrell away from the LA Clippers, and you have Marcus Gasol, and then you got a couple other pieces like that. The Lakers are 10 deep for their team. Everyone else in the Western Conference is looking up at the Lakers. The Lakers are on an island, a tier of their own. No one else in the NBA is even on that same island or level. I do not want to hear that. The Clippers are not on that level. The Bucks are not on that level. The Miami Heat are not. Not even the rejuvenated, healthy Brooklyn Nets. They're not on that level. I expect the LA Lakers to be the number one team in the NBA. I expect LeBron James to be top three in MVP. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he has a great opportunity and chance because LeBron would have won it in 2020, but Giannis and the Bucks were number one in the NBA. The Lakers are number one as expected in the NBA. I think they would probably give it LeBron James his last regular season MVP to tie Michael Jordan. And this ties in all into Michael Jordan, let alone the GOAT. That's why I expect the three-peat to go down with the LA Lakers. LeBron won two titles with the Miami Heat, one with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then I fully expect three with the Los Angeles Lakers. These are going to be the glorified redemption years for LeBron James. And there's more reasons I can get into. I'm probably not going to list them all as of right now because I'm kind of free flowing with this. But if it comes to the Lakers or the field, right now the Lakers are instant favorites. So that would put two for the LA Lakers for last year and this year. Now, if you're looking at the next 2 years following that, what teams can you expect? I mean, the Warriors, you had Klay Thompson get hurt another year. So the Warriors are pretty much finished for the next 2 seasons. The Brooklyn Nets, I expect them to, they're going to need another season or two to where they'll reach that championship level of actually winning it. No one else in the Western Conference is going to go across LeBron James and Anthony Davis led team. So that pretty much leaves me to have the LA Lakers to pretty much be the favorites for the next titles compared to the field. And this was a bold question that they asked in first take. You should really bat an eye on this because they would say the Lakers are the field in the next 3 years. So are they in the know of the works of LA is going to win a three-peat possibly? We're going to see Stephen A. Smith dive a little more deeper into that. And whenever he did state that, you got to catch those Easter eggs out there. Whenever Stephen A. Smith is going to state here in a second, he expects a three-peat. Now that pretty much confirmed it to me. But I'll go a little more deeper. I'll give my take. We'll jump in.
Who will win more titles over the next 3 years? Would you go the Lakers or the field?
I'm rolling with the Lakers. I'm willing.
That's wild. He said that. That's very wild. But like I said before, I expect the Lakers, man. 2021 is very simple. Well, it's not gonna be simple, but they're easy favorites. They're a top tier. This team resembles more of a 2013 Miami Heat. This is going to be like a LeBron peak in this era with the LA Lakers, a rejuvenated Anthony Davis who's won his first championship, who got that monkey off his back. And then you got hungry cats out there. I mean, you got Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma will be better. These are hungry cats who are young. They're not old. They're young. They're going to give you those legs during the season and in the playoffs. This is going to be lake time. This is going to be lake show for the LA Lakers.
With the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a chance to three-peat, not just repeat, three-peat. I think right now, as this season is presently constructed, it's the Lakers and everyone else is a distant second coming into this season. LeBron is obviously 36. By that time, he'll be 37, going on to age 38. And I think that's where the run ultimately ends, with a three-peat. I think it's entirely.
Yeah, and man, I'm going to let Stephen A finish, but let me kind of stay real quick. LeBron's 35. He's about to be 36 and 37 for the 2021 season and 2022. LeBron is not a small forward anymore. I mean, he pretty much kind of plays it, but LeBron is a point guard for the team. Even though you brought in Dennis Schroeder is not going to start. Quote me on this, Dennis Schroeder will not start. I don't care if he states he wants to. He's coming off the bench. LeBron James is a point guard. He needs the ball in his hands. He had the most high assists in the NBA last season. And this is the first time we've seen LeBron actually play true point guard without any other ball handler. For example, in the playoffs and finals, you had LeBron at the 1, then you had KCP at the 3, Danny Green at the 2, AD at the 4, and then Dwight at the 5, and JaVale sometimes. But with KCP and Danny Green, they don't bring up the ball. They don't create any offense. So LeBron played full-time ball handler for the LA Lakers, which a lot of people didn't include that in his accolades and achievements of winning that championship. LeBron was a true point guard, which bringing up the ball 100% basically of the time. You got to give credit where credit's due. Even though I didn't like that fit for LeBron, I think he needs to play a little more off ball. And I've stated the same thing with Ben Simmons. That's another conversation for another day. But you got to give her props where props is due, winning the championship as a point guard. So basically right now, LeBron James and the Lakers, they're good for the next 3 years. LeBron, even as he ages, he has the IQ. He's got AD for offense and defense. LeBron is in a perfect situation at playing point guard.
Highly possible that the Lakers three-peat. I'm not going to say a guarantee because of injuries and all of that other stuff, but I'm as pretty close as I can get to a guarantee that the Lakers are winning the title again this year. That's how distant I consider them to be from everybody else, unless James Harden lands in Brooklyn. I think the only shot that exists in the field for anybody to knock off the Lakers is if James Harden ends up joining KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn. Outside of that.
That's a very good point. That is an X factor. James Harden's situation is floating in the air right now. Personally, and what I kind of expect to happen, the Rockets are not going to trade him to the Brooklyn Nets. I would be shocked if that happens. If you trade James Harden for basically Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, and picks, I would be shocked if that were to happen. If anything, if he were to get traded, I expect him to be swapped for Ben Simmons. I expect Daryl Morey try to pretty much push things through to where he wants a star player. I think, if anything, a Ben Simmons for James Harden makes most sense for both side of things somewhat. But besides from that, either he goes to Philadelphia or he stays another season with Houston. So 2021 is up in the books right now for the LA Lakers.
I don't think anybody has a chance at knocking off the Lakers this year. I'm going with the Lakers.
And real quickly, the Warriors were supposed to be in that picture. Klay Thompson's out for the season. You can cross out the Warriors out of there. And with the Clippers are not going to take down the Battle of LA. That's never going to happen. When you got LeBron James in LA, the Clippers will never take down the Lakers. That was one reason why I had the Lakers winning 2020. You can watch one of my other videos in the past on that. But let's see what we got here.
Over the field.
Well, I agree with you, the Lakers over the field this year, Stephen A. And believe it or not, when I handed in my Knicks fan card, when I moved to L.A. to do afternoon drive there, I lived there for 6 years.
When you
I
betrayed
became
New
the
York?
thing I always wanted to be my whole life.
Yeah.
That's right, a Lakers fan. No, I didn't betray New York. I'm holding it down for New York. I'm leading by example. That was before the Nets were in Brooklyn.
Holding it
All
down?
New York
Betrayed New
forget
York.
about the Knicks.
You're a traitor.
That's right.
saying.
If the Brooklyn
Just
Nets
saying.
would have been around back then, I'd have been a Nets fan. Anyway, the point is this: I'm rooting for them for that to happen, and I think they do win it this year. But I can't pick them against the field for the next 3 years, and this is why. LeBron James will be 36, turning 37. He'll be 37, turning 38 the year after. And what you just said, Stephen A., is the problem. When you up the ante, other teams reload, right? So we all think that Steph is probably not done winning a championship if he and Klay.
Well, real quickly, and in the West, no team has really reloaded. which shocked me. I mean, it shocked me. It baffles me. The Clippers somewhat by bringing Serge Ibaka. I like that pit. I like that pick and that fit. You were able to lose Montrezl Harrell to go to the Lakers. Now that doesn't say something internally. It does. Doc Rivers is out. Ty Lue's the head coach. LeBron James is not going to lose Ty Lue in the playoffs. LeBron James scoffs at that. Who else? The Denver Nuggets. They actually lost some really good pieces of Jeremy Grant, Torrey Craig, Mason Plumlee. So the Nuggets, I don't know why I don't know. They're up in there on that. The Jazz, they didn't get any better. They brought no one else to help out Donovan Mitchell. The Dallas Mavericks, they made some somewhat internal moves, little nice low-key pieces. The Mavericks aren't there yet to reach championship contention. No one is touching the Lakers in the West. No team. In the Eastern Conference, the only pretty much shape-ups was you have Philadelphia with Daryl Morey. They kind of brought some shooters. The 76ers are not on that championship contention level. The Milwaukee Bucks, they brought in Drew Holiday. That's still not, it's nothing crazy. I mean, they're still not going to win the championship. So right now, I mean, basically, it's really for the Lakers for the given. The Lakers had the best offseason with their moves, let alone their champions is ready. And number three, upon that, no one else can touch them. So LeBron James and the Lakers, they're going to win. This is going to be probably their best season together out of the three-peat. Will be their second, or this will be their best. It will be their peak. It's going to be like a 2013 Miami Heat. LeBron James and AD, watch out. And I think LeBron James, I think he's changing his number to number 6 and AD switching to 23. I don't know if that's confirmed for 2021 or 2022, but a lot of you sheep did not even realize this. If LeBron changes back to number 6 as expected, that's straight up in your face, guys. He's saying that he's going to win 6 championship rings. I'm not a gematria type guy, but dude, if you put LeBron James in those or in that whatever algorithm thing, his number is 66. I mean, 6 finals wins, 6 finals losses, number 6 for a reason. I mean, come on, guys, it's staring you straight in the face. And if he were to do that for 2022, I mean, come on, he changed his number 6 while he's trying to get his 6th ring. And lastly, guys, you got to remember, there's Easter eggs, things in the background. I mean, like with Kobe Bryant's death and everything, that solidified it for 2020 and other reasons as well. But for 2021, whenever they released, it was like a year and a half ago, that Space Jam 2 was going to be released in the summer of 2021. What does that say? You really think they're going to release Space Jam 2 when LeBron loses in the finals or in the playoffs? No. They're going to release it whenever LeBron James wins his 5th NBA championship. And I expect the finals, I don't know the exact date, but I think it's around in July that it would finish. So somewhere in that mix, LeBron James will win his 5th NBA championship. Space Jam 2 also confirms it as well. And LeBron James put his number to number 6 in Space Jam. These are the glorified years for LeBron James. He had to go through that sacrificial, let alone that ritual of shame in 2019. That's why we saw it was one of the worst drama. He had to fire Luke Walton. He had to trade away the young guys. Actually, he couldn't even trade away the young guys. They had trade rumors of him for Anthony Davis. And there was also trade rumors of LeBron James to blow it up. It was anarchy. It was chaos. Now, the script has been flipped. You brought in Anthony Davis. You got in some good players on the team. You won the championship for Kobe. Yada, yada. LeBron James is now going to go for a repeat and three-peat. This is going to be the best years of LeBron James's career.
Can get back together, and the Warriors have enough assets to make something happen if Wiseman himself doesn't become a star and all that stuff, right? So you have the Warriors. When are they going to do this? Sometime in the next 3 years, one would think, right? You say if Harden goes...
Real quick, I'm really jumping the gun, but what I've been thinking is the Lakers are going to three-peat, so they're going to win 2021 and 2022. Then I think it's a little pushing it. I think... Man, personally, I would expect the Nets to win in 2022 based on the timeline makes sense. But I expect, based on the 3 people to go down, Lakers 2021 and 2022. 2023 would have to go to the Brooklyn Nets. Then I expect the Warriors in 2024 to win their last championship with Steph, Dre, and Clay. And everything else could be whatever off that. And we got to remember again, Giannis Antetokounmpo, where is he going to sign? Does he go to the Warriors, to the Heat? Philadelphia, we don't know, but really jumping the gun. I really expect the three-peat to go down with the LA Lakers and LeBron James. Brooklyn Nets will win a championship with Kyrie and KD, and I expect the Warriors in the future. They'll be like the 2014 Spurs when they squeak out their last championship. Then we got to remember again, Giannis Antetokounmpo will be a free agent, and he will be able to either look to stay with the Bucks, let alone leave to the Miami Heat or Dallas Mavericks or Warriors. Now, if he stays with the Milwaukee Bucks, then Giannis is not going to win a championship until probably around 3-4 more seasons from now.
The Nets, well, that could happen, but a lot of things can happen. Where does Giannis wind up? Because if Giannis leaves Milwaukee, he ain't going to some run-of-the-mill team. He's going to join a team that has other stars. And that team, like if it's Miami, for example, is going to be a whole lot. So I agree the Lakers win this year. And, knock wood, unless something bad happens. I think the Lakers are the best team again, and that's 2. But then by year 3, it's just hard to win a championship. By year 3, LeBron's 38 years old. Most of the cap money is going to LeBron and AD. And you got wherever Harden winds up, wherever Giannis winds up, Steph and Clay and whatever moves they make.
And again, the NBA is trying to make LeBron James the GOAT, the greatest player of all time. You do have Michael Jordan at 6 rings. I know these guys are in the Masonic and those cults and everything in the background. 6 is a big number. If they're going to put LeBron James in that category, they're not going to make him with 7 rings. They're not going to make him push over Michael Jordan like that. They'll keep him at 6. And if anything, they need to give him a 3-peat. Bill Russell has done it. Michael Jordan, Kobe, and Shaq. LeBron James could 3-peat in the twilight years of his NBA career with Anthony Davis. That will leave the momentum right before he retires for everyone to state he is the greatest player of all time. That's how the storyline is going to go forth.
An ascending Nuggets team, an ascending Dallas team. Who knows who they acquire? I think it's too much to ask that the Lakers beat the field over the next 3 years.
And Max Kellerman's just talking in circles. The Mavericks are nice. The Nuggets are nice. The Nets are nice. They're not going to take down the LA Lakers with LeBron James. LeBron James is not going to lose to any of those teams in the playoffs and finals. The NBA will not allow it. You really think the Lakers will lose to the Nuggets in the 2020 conference finals and LeBron James' whole legacy? No. You think he would lose to a Jimmy Butler-led young Miami Heat team with some veterans and Pat Riley? No, sir. LeBron James is not going to lose another playoff series, let alone another finals in the next 2 seasons. I don't know when LeBron's going to retire. I think, if anything, he's going to 3-peat, and he'll probably do 1 more season to play with his son in the NBA, and then probably end it off on there. Now, I would love to see LeBron James 3-peat, so for 2020, 21, and 2022, and after 2022 when he repeats, or 3-peats, my bad, then he just retires. I think that would be a perfect send-off story in his career, the perfect momentum, but I don't know. LeBron stated he could play in his 40s. We'll see. We'll see.
I do think they win this year.
Well, Max, let me tell you why you're wrong. First of all, the Lakers are the NBA champions. With that being said, I would think all the other 29 teams will act aggressively in free agency and win the battle. But guess who won the battle in free agency? The Los Angeles Lakers. They upgraded. They got rid of salary and upgraded at different positions. They got rid of Danny Green and went got Wesley Matthews. By the way, Danny Green, I love him to death, who was making $15 a year, and you signed Wesley Matthews at $3.6 million, and then you go and steal Montrezl Harrell, which I said time and time again from the Clippers, the 6th Man of the Year candidate.
That's a psychological advantage. Patrick Beverley was shocked when that went down.
And then you trade and you get the run-up for the 6th Man candidate of the year in Dennis Schroeder. And what I'm saying is, yes, you have LeBron James. Yes, you have Anthony Davis. But guess what? We're leaving out one particular name, and that's Rob Pelinka. I have full trust in Rob Pelinka, and he hasn't steered me wrong yet. Just because of what he did in this free agency. He went in there with a Mamba mentality.
Rob Pelinka, Sam Presti, they both went to work as GMs in free agency. They went to work.
He went in there aggressive. He said, we're not satisfied. So with that being said, at the rate that he's going, if he continue to do this year after year in free agency, I could see the Lakers going on the three-peat like Stephen A. Smith said, because guess what? In a couple of years, it's going to be bigger free agents that come up on the market. And right now, what made me realize this is that Montrezl Harrell went to the Lakers. So what that tells me is that the Los Angeles Lakers are eye candy to the rest of the NBA, and guys are willing to come there and partner up to.
Montrezl Harrell is kind of like a fake dog. He's kind of like all talk, but this is a huge stretch. But I think he can somewhat play the Dennis Rodman type role with the Lakers. Of course, it's gonna be like half that percentage, but you know what I'm saying, guys.
To be in Los Angeles and to go and have a chance at winning the title.
Perk, let me get this straight, because I agree with everything you said about Pelinka. He's done a great job, and I had my eyebrows raised. Like, Pelinka, really? Kobe's guy? Like, that seems to me like Kobe wants to buy the Lakers maybe, or something like that. Or Kobe's winning the kind of chess game with Magic and LeBron. Who's going to control the team? You know, but Pelinka did a great job. Like, the Mamba mentality is right, a great job in the offseason. But let me ask you this. Next 3 years, if the Lakers win 2, that means they beat the field. So there's only one championship now for everyone else to go around. That includes the Warriors when Klay gets back and everything they might do. That includes wherever James Harden goes, including probably Brooklyn, Stephen A. That includes Philadelphia with Simmons and Embiid. Or what if Harden winds up in Philadelphia
call me when it happens.
with Daryl Morey as GM? That includes wherever.
Yeah, but when you're looking at the field, I mean, are you really taking James Harden in Philadelphia over LeBron and the Lakers? No. Are you really going to be able to take the Warriors with Klay Thompson coming off another major injury, and the Warriors who don't have, we don't even know if they'll get the vets to come play off that team? No, I'm not taking that. The Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie and KD? No, I'm not taking that. If you get James Harden with Kyrie and Kevin Durant on 2022, then that's a great case as well. But basically, listen, the next 3 seasons, you got the Lakers for 2021. That's a lock pretty much. So you're basically looking at 2022. Can the Lakers three-peat? The Lakers are not going to lose 2023 and then win in 2024. If the Lakers are going to win 3, since they won 2020, they're going to win 2 more in the next 3 years. It's going to have to be consecutively. It's not going to have to be 1 year, then 1 year after the other. It has to be a three-peat. So the LA Lakers, forced by this and forced what I've seen, they're going to three-peat for LeBron James and the crew.
Honest goes, including Miami. You see Pat Riley with his team sitting around for the next 3 years, not sniffing a championship. I'm just saying, the field is a lot.
Well, let me respond. First of all, you almost shouldn't be allowed to talk about this. Number one, you didn't mention one word about Kawhi Leonard. You didn't mention one word about Kawhi, your best player in the world. Didn't mention one word about him. You want to hide from the camera and get Max? You feel?
And this man, Max Kellerman, has been on Kawhi's you-know-what all of last season, praising him as the best player in the world, that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are looking up to him, yada, yada. And then Kawhi folded in the second round. And I've stated, I trust Kawhi in the playoffs. Now, that shocked me whenever he blew a 3-1 series lead. I don't know if that was something in the works of scripted rigness, what they told him. I'm not going to jump the gun on there. But whenever it came to Kawhi Leonard, he will bounce back from this. I don't think he'll win a championship with the Clippers ever. I think his championship days are pretty much done with the Toronto Raptors. And the NBA doesn't want to glorify Kawhi Leonard like that. They gave him that one season with the Raptors, which had to be done since they need Kevin Durant to leave the Warriors. So that was a one-time thing. But Kawhi Leonard's still a top 3, top 5 player in the league. The Clippers are still going to be nice and formidable, but, I mean, come on. With Ty Lue as your head coach, you still didn't address a point guard, a floor general on your team. You didn't even get Rajon Rondo. You weren't able to make any other trades. The Clippers are still going to be the baby brothers to the LA Lakers on that. But I'm going to end it off here. The LA Lakers, I fully expect them to three-peat. Now, some people are thinking logistically how. Now, since in 2021, Rob Pelinka brought in these new guns and their favorites for 2021, we can kind of start to see the writings on the wall for a three-peat for LeBron James to finish with 6 rings, be glorified as the GOAT, and let alone, there's other Easter eggs that are coming around here. So, LA Lakers, three-peat. Don't jump the gun too much, but just make sure you watch this video and you guys know that this was